What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time here on this Saturday. If you have missed me or if you hate me, it doesn't matter. I'm back here on the weekends, at least on Saturdays. I've been busy with a new baby, 3 months old now. Took basketball season off, but back for baseball. Had a little conversation with my man TJ, also welcoming a new baby, a week and a half old. Congratulations on that, TJ. We're in the if we look tired, TJ, it's because we are tired.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know why. I'm not the one who's been yelling. It's been the baby, but I actually feel like I'm losing my voice here a little bit. But we're gonna battle through it. We're ready to go, and hopefully we can make a little money with baseball today.
Yeah, let's get some likes in. Start clicking the like button for some Spidey bombs. We got Tim. Tim is working on a hotspot. So Tim, if you start fading, if it gets crackly, you are getting the boot. But for now, welcome, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you, bro. We haven't done a show together in, I think, probably close to a year. So it's good to see you.
Last baseball.
Yeah, it's baseball season. Yeah, definitely going to be a weird game tonight with Coors. So I'm interested to hear your guys' take and break down the slate with you guys.
Yeah, weather-wise, I can bring up the weather here pretty quickly, but there doesn't really seem to be too much to be worried about. If I'm correct here, what Tim's mentioning, the weather is basically the strongest winds I think we've ever really seen in a baseball game, and it's in Coors. It just happens to be blowing across the field currently right now. So I think Roth put a tweet out. They're like 38 mile per hour winds. They could go up to 40 or even 50 mile per hour sustained winds with some bigger gusts. It's across the field. I wish it was blowing out, right? Because then the total would be what, like 14, 15, 16, something like that. But it's across the field. The weather looks good. Tim, I'm playing the game just as I normally would. If anything, I think it makes it more difficult for the defense. Maybe you want to play the offensive players even more, because trying to catch a ball in 40, 50 mile per hour winds going across the field seems a little difficult. TJ, what's your take?
I'm going to be playing it like it's fairly normal, just because I have no idea what that wind is going to be doing, right? It might make it impossible to hit a ball. It might make it impossible to catch a ball. Or it could just be totally normal because the gusts don't really impact things and they're just mistimed. So I don't really know how it's going to go, and therefore I'm just going to play it like normal.
Yeah, I'm pretty clear. Tim, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, assuming the game plays, like I'm just worried that they do something funky and like delay it and then decide not to play. But like if it looks like the game's gonna play like normal, I certainly am fine with playing it. Like TJ mentioned, it's like you get some 40-mile-an-hour gusts. It could make things absolutely very, very hard to like catch the ball for like routine flyouts. So it's like the game could be absolute chaos, which would be a great thing for DFS purposes.
Yeah, I don't know. Roth said that he hadn't seen anything. I would imagine by now you would have some inkling of, hey, we're not going to play the game. They don't want fans showing up just to go back home. I would imagine the game's going to play. They're not going to stop it because of wind out there in Colorado, I don't think. All right, so let's jump into some of the baseball talk for today. I don't know, Tim, where do you want to start? We handle cash games. We'll throw it to TJ in just a second for some tournament takes here. Where do you want to go today? You got Max Fried. He of 1 inning pitched in his first outing, didn't really have much control. You've got Reed Detmers, who tweaked his arsenal a little bit, and it looks like that's working pretty good for him. You've got Garrett Whitlock, probably my sleeper of the day. These Boston pitchers have basically had it going the entire season. I like that game. One of my bets of the day is the first 5 under in that game, under 4.5. You can go get that right now. I really like the pitching in that game. You've got Gaussman on, I don't know, maybe 85 pitches. I think somewhere in here has him at 89. I think it was 69 pitches in his first start. Probably not going to get up to 100, but if he gets 89 against the Yankees, I don't know. The Yankees, I don't know. Outside of Aaron Judge, I think that's like a fake offense. They're not really doing too hot this year. I don't know. What are you doing, Tim?
Yeah, so definitely, like, at first glance, I was looking at Kevin Gaussman, but he's still kind of on a pretty short leash, so he's not going to be in my cash game builds. I'd say the pretty clear and obvious cash game SB1 is Reed Detmers. We're going to be kind of attacking this Red Sox team. This is not the Red Sox team that we are used to seeing. So he is, I think, the clear SP1. I think he's fine for tournaments as well. I ran about 100 sims for small entry GPPs, and he was simming pretty well also. So I think he's fine for single entry and large field GPPs. So I think he's great for all formats. I really like your Whitlock call also, 8,600 on DraftKings. I think that's a really, really strong call. And then there's, guys like Max Fried who are fantastic real life pitchers. And I think he's certainly in the cash game conversation, but it's kind of close between Whitlock and Fried for me in terms of my SP2. I haven't quite made up my mind. I don't think I'm going to play Whitlock in cash, but I think he's certainly viable. And then I think if you want to load up on all the bats, DL Hall, 6,100, projected for around 80, 85 pitches, around 12 to 13 fantasy points. If you can load up on all the bats, you get those bats right, and Hall is at least decent and gets into those mid-teens and points, then I think that's a really strong option. So he's certainly a person I am considering for single entry tournaments.
Yeah, Detmer's to me also my SP1 on single pitcher site like FanDuel, DraftKings. Certainly, it's really down to Fried or Whitlock for me. And I think I'm going to lead Max Fried. His velocity was fine. It was just his control in that first game. They pulled him after the one inning. I'm expecting him to sort of get it back. I think we're going to get news of RIP Spencer Strider season probably later today or tomorrow. I think he's probably going to be done. They're going to be leaning on Fried probably as their SP1 for the rest of the season. And I think he probably gets it back going to his last year where he was, a very good real life pitcher. Maybe not the strikeouts we need, a little bit down compared to what you'd really like in the mid 25, something like that. A little bit higher is what we want. But I think Fried probably bounces back a little bit if he can get that control. TJ, what do we need likes for the Spidey Bomb? We're at 19. That's not going to get anyone anything, is it?
No, you got to refresh on YouTube. We're up to 54 now. It doesn't auto go up. It makes you refresh now because YouTube's annoying with that. But anyways, smash the like button so we're in YouTube's good graces, and they'll forget that I just called them annoying. We'll do 75 likes for the first Spidey Bomb and 100 likes for Spidey Bomb number 2.
Yeah, I don't like the refresh because then the volume comes back and then it's like I'm double hearing it in my ear. And unless someone more technical, not Dean, knows how to fix that, I'll leave the refreshing to you, TJ. Let me know when we hit it. Starting pitchers, tournaments. How are you handling Detmers, Fried, and then anyone else you're looking at?
So Detmers is going to be my highest owned guy today. I'm just having a new build coming in right now. It's at 130 of 150 lineups. So it'll be coming in. I'll be probably close to even with the field. With Detmers, maybe a little bit above. I think we're projecting him for about 35% right now. I'll have probably about 45% Detmer in tournaments. He is the top option, but I don't think he's so great that you need to be hitting the lock button or anything. And I don't think it's bad chalk to the point that you need to be fading him. So I do have a little bit over the field on Detmers. And then next from there, it is going to be a little bit spread out, but I do have like a fairly locked in tier 2. And that tier 2 is Clark Schmidt, Michael Wacha, and Kevin Gausman. And so Gausman for tournaments, we're projecting him for 89 pitches. If we can get 89, great. Gausman should very well be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. He's not so priced up that it's really that tough to get him. You can get him with some cheaper stacks. And so I do like Gausman's upside. The floor is for sure there. It's the Yankees, and he's probably not going over 90, 95 pitches tops. So there's definitely downside, but I like him for tournaments. And then Michael Wacha and Clark Schmidt are basically just because of the lineups that they're facing. The White Sox are without Luis Robert today, and they put out an absolutely horrific lineup. The Blue Jays put out a bad lineup as well, and they're without, they didn't even go that lefty heavy. They have a bunch of righties in there as well. So I really like both Clark Schmidt and Michael Wacha just because they're both facing a weaker lineup than those teams are used to putting out there today. You got Servit in there instead of Kirk. You got who was the other one big one that was missing that I noticed? I don't remember. The point is, the lineup is not as good as it usually is. And then my next tier, DL Hall, Garrett Whitlock, Michael King are I'm getting all between 10 and 20% of, and then Max Fried and Bryce Miller, just sprinkles of them in there. But I was tempted to X both of them out.
Yeah, Miller didn't really make our cash game builds. Tim, looks like TJ has very little of him today. Do you have any? Why are we down so much on Miller today?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much that I'm down on him. It's just that his price at 9,300. I think this is a slate where I'm going to be focusing more on getting to bigger bats. So I don't want to live in that above 9K range. And if I am going to be above that 9K range, it's going to be with Fried or even Gaussman. So Miller to me gets squeezed a little bit out. But, I mean, if he's really going to be 13% owned with a 26% optimal rate, I have no issue with anybody playing him in GPPs. But for me, in a single entry or a cash game, he's not going to be somebody I'm going to roster.
All right. TJ, did we get up to enough likes for a Spidey Bomb yet?
Let's see. 86, we have reached more than enough likes for Spidey Bomb number 1. So throw it back to Tim for the next segment, and then I'll have one ready for you as soon as we get back.
All right. Before we get to some batters, let me tell you about RotoGrinders Premium. There's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. NBA, PGA, NCAA, NHL, MMA, and MLB. And get yourself 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99. That saves you $250. Instead of buying 6 individual months, you can give combo a test run with a 3-day pass at $19.99 for those looking to test the waters out. Check out the link in the descriptions for more info. You also get Plate IQ behind the paywall this year. If you want the Plate IQ, you got to have the premiums. All right, let's get to batters. TJ, did you find us a home run call, or me and Tim talking catchers quick, or maybe teams?
No, I definitely do have a home run call ready for you, and it was tough because a lot of the guys I like, the books are on as well today, and so they weren't really able to go on them. It's like you said, Adolis Garcia was like plus 190 to hit a home run, like just ridiculous stuff. But while we're not going Adolis Garcia, we are going with another Garcia. You can get him for plus 425 on DraftKings. It's Maikel Garcia leading off for Kansas City.
Yeah, anyone in that Kansas City is going to be a good bat today. Tim, real quick, offenses of the day. We've got Kansas City. We just talked. Any bat there. Houston, Texas, sporting a 10 total. Atlanta, always in play. We've got this game in Coors. What's your favorite offenses?
Yeah, so it's kind of a toss up for me. I definitely would say the Rays are my favorite stack. Ownership not considered. And then I think Houston really is the best possible pivot away from Coors if you don't want to play Coors. Attacking John Gray with this left-handed heavy lineup with Jordan and Kyle Tucker, I think is a really, really strong play. I believe our squad ride pick is the Jordan over 1.5 total bases. Isn't that right?
Who wrote that up? Who could have wrote that up today?
I don't know, but I hope that comes in. I always follow the squad ride pick, so good luck to all the people following the squad ride pick. So so if it's not Tampa Bay, it's Houston for me. Then probably the Royals, and then the Braves, obviously. Brandon Pfaadt, like he's a good pitcher, but I mean this is the Atlanta we're talking about, so. They could beat anybody, and if no one's going to play Atlanta, then I would definitely try to get to them in GPPs for sure, because I think they're going to get kind of forgotten about, in my opinion, because people are going to load up on Coors, the Royals, and Houston, I would imagine, before getting to Atlanta.
TJ, real quick, are you using the Sims, or are you still? I know you've been very successful using the lineup HQ. What's TJ playing with these days?
I'm still rolling with the lineup HQ. I'm too much of a control freak for the Sims. Mm-hmm. I think eventually, as those two tools get integrated more, and I can mess with more settings for Sims and exclude and include and adjust percentages of players a little easier, I'll use it more. But as of now, it's definitely something I would use if I was in a hurry and didn't get a chance to do my whole full day long research process. But as it stands right now, I'm still using lineup HQ just because I do really like having that control.
All right. TJ's brain's in control. What is it doing in terms of teams today?
So like Tim said, wanting to get to the Braves for tournament seems like a good idea. I'm stacking the Braves as my highest owned stack today. I got them in 18% of my lineups, running 150 today. They are my highest owned stack. From there, it's a lot of the other teams Tim mentioned. It's the Coors teams, Colorado and Tampa Bay. I actually do have a significant amount more, though, of Colorado than I do Tampa Bay today. And then Texas is another team I'm really getting to a lot for tournaments. I think they're going under own today in a fantastic spot. I mentioned liking Adolis Garcia. I love Semien. I love Seager. I like this whole team. And so Texas is a stack I'm getting to a lot of. Atlanta, Colorado, Texas, KC, Tampa, Houston are like tier 1 and 2 for me. They're the teams I'm getting to the most. If I was only running 20 lineups, that's probably where I would cut them off. But then because I am running 150, I'm also including Seattle, Milwaukee, Boston, Toronto, LA, the Padres, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and the Giants. But I will say I'm having a really tough time getting Diamondbacks and Giants in the lineup optimizer. I do like Boston for tournaments quite a bit, just because, especially in like single entry stuff, you're probably going to be seeing Reed Detmer as eclipsing 50% ownership.
Yeah. Real quick, just looking through the ownership, I think Texas and Atlanta, the offenses those two teams have at the ownership they're coming in, look like a really nice pivot on the slate for me personally. All right, let's go to catcher Tim. Cash games, boring. Sal Perez, a course catcher. Where are we looking at today?
I'm going to Sal Perez at the catcher spot for sure. I think this matchup against Chris Flexen is fantastic. We did get a question about the weather in Kansas City, and I think Roth has improved the forecast to straight yellow, where before it was yellow. Yeah, so I'm not worried about the weather there. We're going to get 3 hours worth of game time before the heavy rains come, so I'm not concerned at all with KC. So feel free to stack the Royals if that's what you want to do. Yeah, Yanier Diaz batting 5th against John Gray, I think is a good pivot off of Perez. I don't really want to punt catcher. Really with any of the Coors guys. I'm going to pay up to either Perez or Diaz. I think William Contreras would be an interesting tournament play also. Not that I really want to attack Miller, but Contreras does have decent power. So, and he's right around that same price point as guys like Perez and Diaz, and he's going to come in at a fraction of the ownership. I'm seeing Logan O'Hoppe coming in on some sims also. I think he would be an interesting tournament play as well. So that's kind of catcher isn't great tonight. So I'm sticking really up top with Perez or Diaz.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. TJ, tournament takes at the catcher position. Anything standing out to you?
Rortvet, however you say his name, the catcher in Coors, he's still nice and cheap for Tampa Bay. He's hit the ball actually really well so far to start the year. He's my highest owned guy, followed by Travis d'Arnaud. I mentioned I'm getting to as many Brave stacks as possible. I'm mainly just playing whoever is in my stacks. Yep. So surprise, surprise, it's the Tampa guy, the Atlanta guy, Elias Diaz, the Colorado guy, Jonah Heim, the Texas guy, Yanier Diaz, the Houston guy, and finally Salvador Perez, the Kansas City guy. My top 6 stacks, they're my top 6 highest owned catchers today.
All right, TJ, for another Spidey Bomb, what do we need to get to for likes?
I want 100 likes for Spidey Bomb number 2, and we are at 99. So we'll go to Tim for first base, and I'll have a Spidey Bomb ready as soon as we come back.
All right, Tim. The guys at the top look really good. Diaz, Olsen. But man, salary is a thing, and I think there's a couple cheaper options that you could squeeze in there if you want to. So are you trying to prioritize, Olsen and Yandy Diaz, or are you going a little bit cheaper today?
So I currently don't have Diaz or Olsen in my team. If I was to pick between those two, it would definitely be Olsen. I know projections like Diaz better, but they're the same price. And I just like Olsen's home run upside more than Diaz's. So I would go Olsen if I was going to go all the way up. There are some really cheap guys like.
We lost them. Some really cheap guys, like we may never know.
Yeah, like Jacob Bowers. You got on DraftKings. He's what 2,600, 2,800. He's cheap.
We got him back. We got who is the cheap guy, Tim?
Oh, did my internet go out? I didn't even know.
Yeah, you cut out.
Yeah, it cut out. It cut out. And
yeah.
it was like cheap guys like, and then it cut.
So I was gonna say Bobby Dahlback is a cheap. He's first base, third base at 2,600. So I think he's interesting. I think Lamont Wade for tournaments. I wouldn't play him in cash, but 3,300. I think he's viable also. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Britt. I'm not going all the way up, but I'm probably gonna play Pasquantino in cash.
Yeah, Vinny P on FanDuel is what 2,700, and he's reasonably priced on DraftKings as well. You can get to him pretty easily. TJ, you got any tournament takes?
First is much weaker than we're used to it being, but Matt Olson is actually my highest owned bat on the entire slate. Projection for low owned for tournaments. He's about $500 cheaper than he should be. Love Matt Olson today. Vinny P, I agree, probably is the cash game play today. Bobby Dahlback is my favorite cheapie as well. Outside of Olsen and Dahlbeck, I'm mostly just getting the guys in stacks. Montero, Jared Walsh, Yandy Diaz, Michael Toglia, Pasquantino, and then nobody over 5% after that.
All right. SimLabs, you hear Tim talking about that if you're interested in that. The expert DFS lineup generator tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs, now available for MLB and beta. With a few clicks, you can have hundreds of well-built correlated lineups for whatever contest you're playing. Try the SimLabs beta out for MLB while it's still available for the low price of free $99. That is free $99. All right, second base, Tim, cash games. Again, some guys you probably would like to pay up for. Jose Altuve, Marcus Semien, Ozzie Albies. Are you getting to these guys, or are you going with Brendan Rodgers, cheap in course?
I'm going Brendan Lau at 4,800. He's definitely a piece of that Tampa Bay game that I want in cash and in GPPs. I'm completely fine paying under 5K for him in this spot. So Lau is definitely my guy. Have no issue with people if they want to get to Semien or Altuve. I think they're absolutely fine. Or Albies, obviously. Second base is actually pretty strong. I think second base may be stronger than first base tonight.
Which is weird, but it's true.
Yeah, I know. It is weird. So I think that there are some interesting, cheap guys also. But really, I want to focus up top with second base exposure.
All right. TJ, Spidey Bomb number 2, and then let's wrap up second base tournaments.
Spidey Bomb number 2 is at the second base position. It is Marcus Semien. You can get him for plus 325 over on DraftKings. Semien, Spidey Bomb number 2, and he's also one of my favorite plays at the position. Brandon Lau actually is my highest owned guy, but Semien's number 2. Then if I'm going cheap, I'm going either Brendan Rodgers or Pablo Reyes, batting second today for the Red Sox. And then Ozzie Albies, Jose Altuve, my next highest owned guys. But there are a couple other cheapies I want to mix in. Bryce Harang and Samad Taylor. Two guys with speed that are nice and cheap here at the second base position.
All right. Have you noticed the home run odds? They seem like they're all lower than they should be, basically.
Not great to start the year, especially for cold weather. These are the type of odds I'd be expecting for June, July, August.
I've noticed that. I have rarely bet home run props this year on the sports books. They just seem like they're really low for the expected output right now. Anyway, third base, Tim, cash games again. Do you want Austin Riley? Probably other ways you want to spend your money tonight. Couple cheap plays. You've got Miguel Garcia leading off. Any Kansas City bat is a good bat today against Flexen. He's been playing well. He's 4,100. There's a couple really cheap plays. You've got your boy Bobby Dahlbeck. You've got Oliver Dunn as well on DraftKings. I think he's 2,100. If you're just trying to maybe get a couple expensive bats in there elsewhere, how are you handling it?
Yeah, so I think Miguel Garcia is your cash game guy this evening at 4,100, batting leadoff against Flexen. I have Isaac Paredes at 5K would be your tournament option. I like those two guys a little bit more than Riley, but yeah, obviously you can definitely spend the 5.5 on Riley if you can. And then if I'm not doing those guys, I'm going down to guys like Dahlbach or Dunn.
TJ, what about you for tournaments at third base?
Garcia's my highest owned guy. Dahlbeck done 2 and 3, so I'm on the same page there. Trying to get well above the field on Ryan McMahon and Austin Riley. I'll be fairly close to even on Isaac Paredes. And then outside of that, it's mostly stacks. But I do think two guys in particular are going to be phenomenal tournament plays that a very low-owned Manny Machado and Rafael Devers.
All right, Tim, shortstop. Again, a couple guys, Witt or Seager. Let's start off with this one. If you're playing one, and honestly, I think this is a position you might want to prioritize spending a little bit of money on today. Who you got at the top here?
I got Bobby Witt. I'm going straight after Flexen. Like, I understand it's a good spot for Corey Seager and the Rangers in general, but I think it's a way better spot for the Royals. So I'm prioritizing Witt. He was my first guy in my cash games today, believe it or not. So yeah, I'm going Bobby Witt definitely. Seager would be a close second. I don't mind, guys. I think it's a really good call by Manny Machado by TJ. And you got Xander too batting lead off for 4,600. So I think they're interesting. But there's really no pay down option that I think is viable other than like Garrett Hampson and GPPs at 2-2 outfield shortstop. But there's no way I would do that in cash games.
Yeah, it's between Witt or Seager for sure. And I think Witt is probably where I'm going as well. So I'm glad we're in agreement on that. TJ, who you got at the top between those two? What's the ownership look like? And then is there anyone else sneaking in there for you that you're really actively targeting? Because I like TJ, think it falls off dramatically after those two at the top.
So Seager is my higher owned of the two, but I am heavily underweight on Bobby Witt for tournaments, which scares me. But Royals chalk early in the year, I don't love it. I'm getting up to a couple of them, but I'm underweight on most of them today. I think Velasquez and Garcia are probably the only two I'm not going to be underweight on. So other guys at the shortstop position I'm getting to, it's actually Ezekiel Tovar and Orlando Arcia as the two guys I'm getting to the most here. Both sub 4K. Both have been hitting the ball well this year. Not in great spots in the order, but solid spots from a fantasy perspective. So I'm still loading up on both of those too. And then outside of that, it's just stack guys. Josh Smith, Jeremy Pena, Garrett Hampson, Willie Adames, JP Crawford. Nobody I feel really good about.
All right, let's get to the outfield. Well, actually, before I do, let me give you a couple of bets. If any of you are looking for sports books that I wrote up on Scores and Odds today, I'm on the first 5 under in the Angels Boston game. I think you can probably get that at 4.5 around minus 130-ish if you spread or if you look around on the sports books. We have the squad ride play of the day, Mr. Outfielder, which I'm sure we're all playing. Mr. Yordan Alvarez, total bases over 1.5. It was around minus 110 early this morning. Should still be around there. And then I wrote up Toronto very early in the day. I just think Gausman against Schmidt is such a mismatch that I don't know. I don't like this Toronto lineup, TJ. So I don't know if I would bet that. It's still on Scores and Odds. I'm already heavily invested in that. But Gausman looked really good in his first outing. He was third in the Cy Young last year. I don't know if I'm a true believer in the Yankees offense. Toronto's been absolutely horrible. But Gausman, I think, is such an advantage over Schmidt at the starting pitcher position. I don't mind taking a shot on Toronto to win the game today. If you want to shorten it up, take the first 5 in that one as well. All right, outfield, Tim, Yordan Alvarez. Definitely the Roto-Grinders projections agree, even over Acuna. Absolute number 1 priority today against John Gray. John Gray's fastball was down a mile per hour compared to his average last year. Got rocked in his first start. I'm expecting that to happen again today in Texas. Yordan, Bobby Witt or Yordan if you only had to pick one today.
Oh, that's actually kind of close for me, but it's probably Yordan.
Yeah.
I'm getting to both. I have to skip on Acuna, which makes it a little nervous in cash games, but I'm going Yordan. No Acuna for me. Obviously, Acuna is a fantastic play if you can get to him, but I would prioritize Alvarez over him. Randy Arozarena for tournaments at 5,900. Kyle Tucker, another fantastic Astro at 5.5. And then getting to some cheapies, there's plenty of like strong cheapies also for the Royals, like Nelson Velasquez at 36. MJ Melendez, I think, is at 35 or 34, excuse me. Yep. So there's some really, really strong, cheap outfield exposure that you can get to from Kansas City. And then I think, guys like, Tyler O'Neill, Julio Rodriguez, they're going to go completely unowned on this slate, and they have, pretty strong upside. So you could one off them in large field GPPs just to hope that they hit their ceiling.
Sorry, I was on mute there. If you got to pick an ultra cheapie, there's Kevin Pillar on DraftKings is 2,400. Hampson for Colorado, or Hampson's at what? 2,200.
22. Yep.
Yeah. Who would you play between those two if you're looking for an ultra cheapie in the outfield?
I think it's Hampson, just because I want as many Royals as I can get. So I think it's Hampson, but Pillar's not horrible either.
All right, TJ, what's your exposure look like in the outfield? Are you as big on, it looks like RotoGrinders is projecting Hampson. He's multi-position eligible, so that sort of ups the ownership quite a bit. Alvarez, Tucker, these are the guys I'm really looking at, probably along with one cheapie.
Yeah, I can tell you I'll definitely have nowhere close to 20% Garrett Hampson today. But that just feels like as bad, like Garrett Hampson, like he wasn't even good when he was in Coors. And now he's not. And so I totally get it from like a cheap cash game perspective, absolutely. But like in tournaments outside of a Royal stack, that seems like somebody I'm trying to avoid. Acuna, Dallas Garcia, and Nelson Velasquez are my 3 highest owned guys. Give me 15 more likes, and I got Spidey Bomb number 3. So let's get us up to 125. Should be nice and easy. We got a ton of people watching. I got Spidey Bomb number 3 for you, and so I'm going to omit who that is. But at 17%, they're actually my 4th highest owned outfielder today. Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Michael Harris, Marcell Ozuna, and Jared Kelenic. All Astros and Braves are in a line of 5 guys for my next highest owned in exposures. If I got to find like a cheapie to use as a potential one-off, I don't mind doing more today. And then I've mentioned across a few positions some Boston players I like. But my favorite Boston player today is Tyler O'Neill. He's been absolutely smashing the ball since he went there. I don't think there's any reason that doesn't continue today against the lefty. Another guy that is plus 370 over on DraftKings at a home run. I don't mind that as a potential home run bet today. And then Spidey Bomb number 3. Keep getting those likes up. I trust we're going to get there. But Spidey Bomb number 3 is Wyatt Langford. You can get him for plus 425.
Anything else you guys want to talk offense-wise, or do we want to start fielding some questions from the chat?
Let's go QQs, I think.
All right, yeah. So if you're in Discord, there's a live stream chat. If you're on the YouTubes, just post a question, and we'll get it from there. I've got my eyes on both. I'm going to scroll back and see if I can find a couple. Let's see here. Alan from YouTube wanted to know Haniger or Palacios for a one-off on a DraftKings single entry. TJ, let me throw that one to you.
Where is Haniger in the lineup today? Searching for that right now. I think I'd probably just go Palacios just because he's 5th in Coors.
Haniger's cleanup today. He's
cleanup again. That is a tough one then. I would probably still go Palacios, but I don't mind Haniger either.
Yeah, I think I default to the Coors bat today, Tim. What about you?
I'd actually go Haniger. If it's one-off, I'd go Haniger, even though I prefer the Rays stack more.
Yeah, you're going to get what? 4-1 ownership probably on Haniger over Palacios, something like that.
Yeah, maybe not that
we're projecting them for the exact same ownership now.
Yeah, I would not think that at all. I would think the Coors bat would get much more ownership overall. Let's see here. Rockies weather concerns, no, just the wind. They would have mentioned something by now if they were going to do something with the game because of wind. I'm expecting that to be good, but there are, just to repeat, I'll bring up the weather report from Roth. 40-mile-per-hour crosswind winds. So probably going to see some funkiness in the outfield. maybe on line drives even possibly being affected in this game. Should be interesting to see. I don't pitching might even be affected with 40-mile-per-hour winds on a crosswind. You never really know what's going to happen in this one. So it'll be a fun game to watch, but I don't have any concern about the game playing right now. Peter wants to know, DraftKings tournament. He's got 4,900 left for first base. What are we doing? TJ, going to you first.
What was that, sorry?
4,900 first base DraftKings.
I would probably go Christian Walker.
Against Freed. Tim, where would you go? I know Vinny P we're using in cash at 4,200. Would you do something like that and spend up somewhere else?
I'd rather just go to Vinny P at 42.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I do too. I think he'll garner some ownership and then spread out that extra $700. Maybe try to get an upgrade somewhere else. Let's see. We got a question from the Discord. Garcia or Perez, FanDuel cash utility. Garcia has to be one of your top options today on FanDuel, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like both. I guess prioritize Garcia, but I think both are pretty great for cash games.
Yeah, I like Garcia in that 1v1 personally. Let's see if we've got any more. 3K cash outfielder on FanDuel. Let's bring up FanDuel on the good old lineup HQ. My FanDuel screen disappeared. So, Tim, what would we be doing over there?
Yeah, I'm pulling up FanDuel right now. 3K outfield. It's definitely Nelson Velasquez at 2.8.
Yeah, you got Melendez, Velasquez. Those would definitely be. There's no one I'd really play. Haniger for a tournament like we were just talking about, but yeah, pick one of those two Royals bats for sure in the outfield.
Wyatt Langford.
Yeah, Langford's fine too. I think there's going to be some scoring in that game, but I'm going to take Tim's side on that one and take either one of the Royals. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them today. Let's see, Walker. No, we got that one. Cam the Man wants to know. Oh, you sort of answered it, but TJ, Coors game in general, where are you looking at for ownership wise?
Yeah, so the question confused me a little bit, asking if I was going to have lower exposure, but no. Like Colorado's my second highest owned stack of the day. Tampa, I'd have more of them if it wasn't for other ownership and their prices. So I'm not low on Coors at all. It's Coors. Wind blowing sideways isn't going to get me off of it. To me, that just means it could get even wackier.
All right. Daryl playing the Yahoo cash games wants to know Arizona Diamondbacks against Max Fried today. I have not opened up Yahoo, so I don't know that. I can bring it up and see what's going on here.
I'll just say quick, like chances are in cash, you are not playing Arizona. They're not going to project very well against Max Fried, but also in cash games, you don't want to be stacking either in a cash game. So you're playing the highest projected and or best point per dollar plays at each position. You're not worried about a stack whatsoever in cash games.
All right, let me see if I can find any more questions. You guys have any? Please post them in here. I've gone back on the YouTubes. I don't see any more. Don't really see any on the Discord either. So why don't we circle back to pitching really quick here if people are just joining late and they are trying to figure out pitching. Tim, give me a maybe 30-second recap on what we're doing for cash, and then TJ, I'll throw it to you on what your final lineups look like for tournaments.
Yeah, so it's definitely Detmers as your SP1 on DK. He's also your pitcher on FanDuel and cash. SP2, it's Fried, probably DL Hall. You could probably go Clark Schmidt in tournaments, but you're definitely going Detmers at SP1, and then probably the safest SP2 for cash is Fried. So it's probably Detmers, Fried, in cash.
Yeah, I've landed on that combo as well personally. And TJ, what's the final ownership look like for you? Who are you targeting for tournaments tonight?
Highest owned pitcher is going to be Reed Detmers. He's going to be chalky, but he's in the best spot. Clark Schmidt and Michael Wacha are going to be my two lower owned guys for tournaments. The lineups that they're facing are just not as good as they usually are. No Luis Robert for Chicago, and Toronto down a couple guys as well without a couple of their lefties in there. Fine with some DL Hall and some Garrett Whitlock, and then I just have sprinkles of Michael King, Max Fried, and Bryce Miller.
All right. Jake from YouTube wants to know, TJ, I'll ask you, Rordevert, this is for a tournament, Rordevert and Evan Carter or Jonah Heim and Velasquez. What would be your preferred combo there?
I do the Heim Velasquez one.
I think I would as well. Let's see. Spidey Bombs. Peter missed them. TJ, give us a recap.
My guy, Peter Porker. Spidey Bombs were Wyatt Langford, Marcus Semien, and my goodness, who was the first one? Brent, help me out. Who was the first Spidey Bomb?
Oh my! I forgot.
So did I.
Not good.
Help me out. Who is the first Spidey Bomb? I'm running low on sleep, people. You got to help me out.
Tim, are you there? Oh yeah, Tim moved his eyes. He's been very still.
Oh, Michael Garcia. Michael Garcia was the first one. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Max Video.
All right. Let's see here. Bobby wants to know Hampson and Alvarez or Blackman and Kellenic for DraftKings cash.
Hampson and Alvarez, definitely.
Anything with Alvarez is going to get my gold star today. Got to have him on your DraftKings cash team. Conforto or Rodriguez today? Going deep in the weeds.
Yeah, that is pretty deep in the weeds. Probably go Conforto.
Who
Not
is
crazy.
Rodriguez?
Yeah. Who?
Yeah. I only know of a.
I mean, if
Alex
it's
Rodriguez?
Julio Rodriguez, it's definitely Julio. But
Yeah, but they're completely.
Is it
I'm
Harold
really
Rodriguez?
confused.
if it's Alex Rodriguez, he's probably not in the pool because he's retired. So in that case, it'd be Conforto.
Is he dating J-Lo or is that still
No.
J-Lo's back
that's
with Ben
long ago.
Affleck now, right?
Yeah,
That was a long time ago. I need more sleep, just like you, TJ. Let's look at a couple more here. Let's see here, Michael. We've got that one. Tucker or Velasquez? I'm taking Tucker. As much as I like Velasquez, and I think you do too, Tim, I'm going to take Tucker on that one.
Well, yeah, I mean they're completely different price points, though.
This is the question. You can make plenty of teams with salary left over today.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's see, what else do we got? Yeah, Julio. Let me see if Discord has any. DL Hall fastball being down compared to prior years. I mean, sure, right? Like I'm targeting some of these Astro guys because John Gray was down 1 mile an hour and Hall didn't really have it in his first start. You got to take note of these things. We saw it with who's the Angels pitchers last night? Canning. He was like the chalk of the day on DraftKings. Velocity was down in the first start. We all still piled in on him. Velocity still down in the second start, and the fantasy points were not there. So, I mean, like baseball, I guess we're running out of some questions here. There's the big debate on Twitter today is, right, you get the increased velocity, but then you need the Tommy John surgery. Or you can throw with lower velocity, get smacked around. Maybe you got to be a finesse pitcher, and you last longer in the league. What do we want from the pitchers? I want fantasy points. Go all out. Get the Tommy John surgery. I'll find someone else to fill in for you, Tim.
Yeah, I mean it's really a tough conundrum, right, for these teams, and you're paying them so much money. So
Yeah. I
I would think you'd want them to last, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's tough.
You got to see all of this one. That's I don't really see any new questions in the YouTube. Oh, DraftKings tourney. Would you game stack Houston versus Texas? Yes, I guess you should do that for sure. I think that's what's that? Got a 10 total. That's the highest on the board outside of Coors, and the ownership specifically, I think, on Texas was looking pretty low. Let's see here. Let me bring up the utilities. I think I'm on FanDuel, so maybe it'll be a little bit different. But yeah, the ownership on these guys is just going to be a little bit too low today for what both offenses can do. So I think that's a very viable strategy today. TJ, anything else you want to talk about here?
No, we've reached walk. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, it's 7:05. I want to thank everybody. I think I'm back on every Saturday for this month. It's been a hard time in the Divine household with a just under 2-year-old, and now we have a 3-month-old. So I had to take a little bit of time off from the shows. TJ, the struggles haven't hit you yet with the new child, but they're coming, my friend. It's going to be, it gets a lot harder to do the content and everything on the full schedule. And Tim, with your daughter, it's just you got a whole different area of stuff you're worrying about right now.
That's true. Very, very true.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching in. Tune in on Crunch Time. Go get the Spidey Bombs. Get your bets in. Hope everything works out for you. For TJ and Tim, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we out you.